morning everyone. Today I'm going to discuss about the criteria in choosing appropriate assessment tools. So, criteria, it is a principle or standard by which something may be judged or decided. So, criteria, it is a basis or assessing someone or something. When we are having an activity, it has always a criteria. Next, assessment methods are the strategies, techniques, tools, and instruments for collecting information to determine the extent to which students demonstrate desired learning outcomes. So, in assessment methods is anything that we use to assess to attain our goal, and always remember that the important steps in the assessment process is choosing an appropriate method for collecting data. So the teachers need to select tools to assess students' achievement in the target outcomes. Next. So the first step in attaining competency in selecting appropriate test involve understanding the purpose or purposes for which an assessment is given. So it means that when we are selecting tools, we must always keep in mind that particular tool or must help us to attain our goal, so that tool must be useful. So useful because it must provide information that we need. That the most important aspect of choosing a method is ensuring that the method will provide a evidence needed to determine the extent to which the goals or outcomes was achieved. Decision about which assessment method to utilize should be based primarily all the data so that is needed for the specific goals and outcomes being assessed. So the teacher must not base their judgment being or about student performance on their past data collection efforts or if when convenient. So why? Because student nowadays who experience their benefits of technology are much brighter. So it is because with the use of technology, we can able to make things better and easier. Next, so the first step in attaining competency and selecting appropriate tests involve understanding the purpose or purposes for which give or an assessment is given. So, obviously, we must first know the reason or the purpose why we are doing an assessment for us to come up with a good assessment process. So, we must the assessment to our goals for it to be possibly happen. So next is according to Merens 2001 as cited in McDevitt and Gibson in the broadest sense, the purpose of any assessment is to gather data to facilitate decision making. So do you agree with Merens? Okay, so I am also agree with Merens because the main purpose of the assessment is to gather data to facilitate the decision making. So for example, a teacher wants to know or he wants to make a decision whether he or she will pass her or his students. So what she will do is to give a removal exam. If the particular student pass that exam, a consideration grade will given. So direct, the teachers is observing and assessing the student, while the indirect method is the student just allow to reflect their knowledge. Next is what characteristics we can consider in selecting appropriate assessment tools, whether conventional or ICT-based assessment. So, first is measure the desired level of performance. So, it's important to consider the level of performance of the characteristics that particular tools must measure the level of satisfaction, productivity, efficiency, students' performance. So next is the cost effective in terms of effort, time, and money. So in short, these tools is you are going to choose must be worth it, or it could be give you things that you need. So next is useful, that will produce results that provide information that can give or can be used in making decisions to improve student learning. Next is reasonably accurate and truthful. So that's right. The characteristics of tool that you must choose is must provide you a accurate and truthful in terms of the result. So next is the defendable consistent responses over time. So it is connected to the fourth one. So it must be defendable. It must provide you a result that are consistent or must be reliable. Next is the evidence of being ongoing, not once and done. So it is like being consistent as well. Next is after the discussion a certain lesson, the teachers conducts formative assessment on the frequent use of evidence gathered from various methods as feedback. So guys, I wanna share with you the 5 strands according to Dragas and Karyutake 2016. So the first is the first participation, perspective taking, social regulation, tax regulation, students learning, and knowledge building skills. So next is the creating and utilizing rubric. So rubric is a set of criteria used to determine scoring for an assignment, performance, or product. So all of us know the rubric. So it is the systematic way of collecting information about a particular behavior or a knowledge or skills. So the main purpose of rubric is to assess students' performances. Next is there are 2 types of rubrics. First is the analytic rubrics, and next is the holistic rubrics. So analytic rubrics is the describe work on each criterion separately. It utilizes separate holistic ratings of a specific characteristics, products, or behavior. So, holistic rubrics describe the work by applying all the criteria at the same and enabling an overall judgment about the quality of the work. It utilizes holistic ratings for a product or behavior. So, in holistic, it is a single grading scale. So, all criteria considered in the evaluation is included together. So, rater assigns a single score. So, example is in AP exam. So, next is the doesn't provide us granular target feedback on student performance. Next is the analytic rubrics. It is a multi-component grading scales. So, describe each evaluation criteria separately. So, raters assigns a score for each component along with an overall score. So, total or weighted. Next is provides more granular target feedback. More time consuming to create. In checklist, there's only two options. It's either yes or no. It can be conferred in the switch. For example, it's either on or off. The teacher will only choose if the particular students demonstrate the behavior he or she is observing. Next is the rating scales. So, allow the teachers to indicate the degree or frequency of the behavior skills and strategies displayed by the learners. So, in rating scales, it is used whenever or when we are rating someone or something. It can also be seen in a research questionnaire. And rating scale, the teacher will just check if the student demonstrated the behavior and it has a frequency like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, that's all. So, to sum up all, it is important to know that teachers should use a variety of assessment methods in the classroom, assessing students how the teachers are able to evaluate student material they are learning in the classroom, and therefore has to be done to accommodate the students' needs. That's all, and thank you po.